Hey everyone, so I'm going to show you how you can get flawless foundation. Now this was my most requested tutorial and I was actually kind of surprised because I had very bad acne as a teenager and I don't think my skin is flawless, but you seem to disagree, so we're going to get started. I know I have half a face on and there is method to my madness, so I will explain this later. I only have eyeshadow on the top of my lids and my brows done. The first thing I do is take a primer. Now these primers, they're actually identical. I don't see any difference, only that the price. So the English one is about half of the price, so I'm going to use that. So I'm taking a pea-sized amount and I've just spread it all over my face, and then I'm going to blend it in using my hands. I find that I can work the product better into my skin using my hands opposed to a brush. So now moving on to concealer. This is my favourite concealer if I'm looking for a full coverage look. So what I do is I apply it to any of the blemishes or redness I may have. Now I have two ways of applying concealer, so this is the first way. So I've applied it to all my blemishes and then I take a fluffy blending brush, and what I do is I just blend around the outer edge of the concealer so that the middle part of the concealer is fully covering the blemish or any discoloration. Then I also like to use my fingers, as I find that the warmth of my hands helps to blend the product in. So the second method I use is just to apply the concealer and leave it there, and I'll explain why in a minute as well. So now moving on to foundation. This is my favourite one. I also like to use this Revlon Colour Stay one, or sometimes I like to mix the two of them together. So today I'm using the Ideal Flawless and I'm just putting two blobs on the back of my hand. Then I'm taking my foundation brush. Now this is my favourite brush to use. It's the Blank Canvas Cosmetics F21 and I love it because it's angled. So what I do is I just lightly dab the brush over the foundation so that the foundation is sitting on top of the brush. I'm not working it into the brush, as I find that a lot of product goes to waste. So I'm dabbing it all over my face and then I'm going to work on blending it in. Now earlier, if you remember, I applied concealer and I just left it there. I didn't blend it out. I sometimes do that if I want quite full coverage in that area. So I use the foundation and my brush to then blend that concealer in, and I just find this gives me a better coverage. If you've seen in my older videos when I'm applying my foundation, I tend to use two different brushes. This is because I find that the painter style foundation brush helps me to get into the smaller areas of my face, like around my nose and my forehead. But with this brush I don't need to do that. Because it's angled, it gets into all those areas of the face and it blends out the foundation really nicely. It's quite foolproof, it does all the work for you. So the reason that I applied my eye makeup and my brows on before I did my foundation is because I tend to wear a lot of eyeshadows. A majority of the time they're dark eyeshadows, and with dark eyeshadows, or most eyeshadows in general, you can get a lot of fallout down onto your cheeks. So I'm just making life easier for myself by applying my foundation after, so I can clean away any fallout before I apply the foundation. The same applies to my brows. If I have made any mistakes with regard to shaping them, I can go in with a brush and a foundation and just perfect the edges. So now we want to lock everything in place. So I'm taking this palette by Blank Canvas Cosmetics and taking the second lightest shade. Now this is actually a blush and a contour palette, but because I find they're not specifically formulated as face powders, they give a much more mattified appearance to the face. I've quite dry skin and I find that these don't cake into any of my dry patches. It's my absolute favourite face powder to use, and it lasts all day long as well. So that's my foundation routine. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I'll show you how to contour and highlight in my next video.